Welcome to StudioZ, a podcast of empowerment. I'm your host, Melissa Marvel.
Welcome to our podcast.
Well, thank you.
Yes, Gordon Holmes is a financial planner focusing on special care, special needs planning, and he is going to be a part of a multi-part series. So, Gordon, I am just thrilled to death that you have agreed to be a part of our StudioZ podcast series, a podcast of empowerment. And I just look forward to, at this point, if you would, to share your story, your background, and just bring the audience along.
So professionally, I'm a certified financial planner. Have been in practice for about 40 years. And I probably 90+% of my practice is focused on helping families that have a member with special needs with the legal, financial, and government benefits that they face.
Mm-hmm.
I have offices in Indianapolis and Louisville and Lexington, Kentucky, and families from all over Indiana and a good part of Kentucky, either in person or virtually, get with us, and we help them deal with these challenging issues. Again, government benefits and legal issues, appealing government benefit decisions, and doing estate planning, and then also trying to maximize on government benefits and supports in their journey. Our son, Matt, who is now 25, and he is on the autism spectrum, and with dyslexia and attention deficit, and he also has a very aggressive case of Crohn's disease. So we've worked through and worked with a number of issues, and early on I decided as a part of my special needs journey that I would move my practice in the direction of special needs. So that goes back some 22 years.
That's
and
yes, that's a while.
Yeah, it is. And so again, now my son's 25, and over that span of time, we've helped several thousand families with their planning, and through that we've developed relationships with school corporations and special needs co-ops, and also nonprofit organizations.
Are all of these throughout Kentucky and Indiana that you've been able to set these up?
They are. We have a few families in Ohio, okay, and then families that have moved. And so over time they become a bit scattered about, but they are mostly in Indiana and Kentucky. Part of that is because from a especially legal and a government benefit perspective, things vary with special needs by state.
Right.
And
that's one of the challenges that everybody faces, even if you just cross the river, in Louisville and Indiana with the Ohio there. It makes a big difference.
Right. So I've made a point to develop expertise on government benefits as they relate to families living in Ohio and Kentucky, or excuse me, in Indiana and Kentucky. Mm-hmm. Occasionally we'll have someone like from Cincinnati or that type of thing, but mostly Indiana and Kentucky, and they're different. The Medicaid waiver systems are different, and the programs for delivery and so forth. So keeping up with two states keeps me busy.
I know
busy
from
enough.
I was gonna say, I know from Zoom group it's challenging to stay just up on the Kentucky regulations, so I can only imagine doing multi-state. So
yeah. So over that time, we've cultivated relationships on several levels, and so I'm thankful because in Indiana and Kentucky, we've got a richness of both special needs culture as well as again, these nonprofit organizations that really carry a yeoman's labor or do a yeoman's labor. And so very thankful for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've developed strategic alliances with groups like Zoom Group and the Louisville Council and Down Syndrome Louisville and Autism, Society of Kentuckiana and FEAT and Special Olympics Kentucky and the Arc of Kentucky and
Yes.
so many more. And,
Yes, I was going to say,
thankful.
You were involved with very, very many, I read on the bio, and that's wonderful. It takes all of those entities to help move us forward in this world.
Yeah, I'm just thankful. God's been extremely faithful in our journey with our son, and so I've always felt it went hand in hand with being there for other families, but understanding the challenges and the struggles
Gordon,
that families deal with.
when Matthew was small, what did you find as the most difficult challenges, if you will? What were the biggest challenges you faced as learning a new parenting skill or addressing some of the new needs that he had? What were the biggest challenges then?
I know early on there was really no ABA 22 years ago, and so we did OT and speech and handwriting without tears and Linda Mood Bell and aerobics and fast forward or fast start and just a litany of programs. And so part of the challenge was having three children. Mm-hmm. And trying to meet the needs of one that really we wanted to give him everything that he needed, et cetera. And so it's a juggling act to do. And so
all of the learning that you and your spouse had to undertake, were there professionals out there that were assisting with the guidance on how to interact?
We threw everything. Is that I like to say we threw everything but the kitchen sink at the kid, and we did it as early as we could before he knew to say no.
That too is a parenting skill, but that's across the board.
Yes,
have them like the carrots before they can say no.
And he responded to most things, not all things, but he responded to most, and we were very, very thankful. And unlike many medical situations where you take a medication or you have surgery or something, and the outcome is somewhat predictable. Mm-hmm. There was little prediction as to where we were going with this, because early on with dyslexia he struggled with reading and word recognition. Mm-hmm. He had central auditory processing disorder, and therefore he struggled with speech. Because he wasn't hearing very well at all. And so we had a combination of basically, and then OT with handwriting and fine motor skills. Mm-hmm. So to be frank with you, when he started kindergarten or first grade, we were not doing well on reading, writing, hearing, or speaking.
But those kinds of things, and you don't know, and you're trying to explore and find out and see how they respond. So that's a yeomanship of work that you and your spouse did, just trying to figure out how to address his needs, not knowing. Was Matthew able to communicate some of his frustrations perhaps to you? Well,
yes, and early on we did develop some anger management issues, mm-hmm. and I'm very thankful that in time those subsided. Mm-hmm. But yes, I mean his frustration was obvious in his challenge to communicate and help others to understand what he was thinking, what he was feeling. And so as we use these various programs and tools to advance his cause, and he was able to he made progress in communication and so forth, then the anger subsided. And we were so thankful for that, but I can certainly understand for families where they struggle to make progress, in these issues, that the anger can continue and bubble over, and my heart goes out to them. We were making progress. We got an IEP. Had to struggle with that, so I understand the IEP struggles. I'll never forget the first lengthy IEP meeting we had. It felt like it ran for 2 hours.
How old was Matthew at the time?
Well, we kept Matthew in kindergarten an extra year because he clearly was not ready for first grade, and we had him in private kindergarten, and so he entered the public school system with the first grade, and we requested an IEP, and our request was not we were not successwell in getting an IEP initially.
That's surprising.
Yeah, and so we went into the meeting, and we felt like with all that we were doing on our own and all of the material and information that existed at that point about math, that getting an IEP would frankly be a slam dunk. And after 2 hours, the response was, we've talked about Matthew's challenges, and we think it will be wise to continue to monitor the situation. And I took a deep breath and said, I'm a little confused. And they said, oh, about what? I said, well, for the last 2 hours we've sat here and talked about all the problems and challenges that he's having. And I said, the consensus seems to be that we'll continue to talk about it.
I was going to say, and
I
so
said,
what
frankly,
was that? Go ahead. I apologize again.
Yeah, so I said, frankly, I feel like I've been to the dentist. And
of
course, at that point, they looked at me and felt maybe the nut had not fallen far from the tree. And I said, I feel like I've been to the dentist, and where the dentist pokes and prods and irritates and looks and everything like that, and maybe finds a cavity or two. But the decay is just not significant enough to do something about it. So we'll have to keep an eye on these cavities, and when they have deteriorated into craters, then we'll probably need to do fillings. And I feel the same way about Matthew. We sit around the table for 2 hours and talk about all of the struggles and challenges and problems that he has and the help that he needs, and then the reaction is that, well, it hasn't quite gotten bad enough for us to do something about. And I said, that does not work for me. We went to a PhD and had a thorough evaluation done, and we brought the advocate into the next IEP meeting, and things, started to a little more move in our direction, and it became clear that advocacy was, going to be a huge part of our journey with. And we did eventually get the IEP. Okay. Well, the special needs journey oftentimes begins young, like it did with us and Matthew. And depending upon the family's financial structure, one of the early benefits that families will want to consider is pursuing a Medicaid waiver. The Medicaid waivers were born primarily in the 80s and 90s as we had a societal shift away from using institutional surroundings to care for our young and into adult population with special needs. And instead, the focus would be, let's have individual education plans and 504s, and let's invest in them. Let's help them become all they can be, and let's focus not just on caring for them, but actually helping them become all that they can be in their quality of life. And so these waivers were born. The term waiver, home and community-based waiver, is the most common reference. And so these came about as basically the government sought to waive roadblocks or requirements that were blocking access to resources. So instead of resources only being available in an institutional setting, the idea was, let's make resources available in the home and community, and then let's waive the financial criteria. And so these waivers, in many cases, I should say most cases, are available to families that have a child with special needs, regardless of the parent's assets or income.
How did you become aware of this early on? I know that it evolved at that similar time frame, but how did you become aware of this? Was it because of the work that you were involved in, or
Right.
the families that your family network? What exactly got you led to knowing about the waivers?
Well, so it's interesting because my professional growth in special needs really mirrored my personal journey in special needs. And so as I was becoming more involved in the special needs community professionally, I was one of those parents attending the various school meetings for parents with children with special needs, et cetera. And so I was learning on the personal side and then channeling what I would learn on the personal side to the professional side to help other families. And so I'm thankful for the special needs co-op that we had that our son participated in. And in the various meetings and programs that they would have. And so, I would learn things on the personal side, use it professionally. And then, in addition, I'm very thankful because for the first 30 or so years of my career, I was with MetLife. And MetLife was the financial insurance company giant that was the first to launch a special needs initiative. And so MetLife was launching their special needs program simultaneous with my kind of getting started in my personal journey from a special needs perspective. So God's hand was at work in terms of coordinating this because MetLife wanted seasoned advisors to focus in this area if they felt led to do so. And my personal journey was off and running. And so I was getting support from the special needs program at MetLife, and I was learning at the personal level and then learning from other parents. And so I was just a sponge to try to figure all of this out and thought I'd be a quick study, and in no time I would know everything I needed to know. And I have to tell you, 22 years later, I'm still studying. So Matthew had the IEP. Mm-hmm. He went to summer school. We arranged for tutors. From sun up to sundown, it was just a litany of programs and things. My wife ran the tires off her car. I know so many, especially moms, can understand hours spent in the car or in the waiting room, as different therapies and things would be done. And then as technology clicked along, then my wife started providing programs of education support at home to supplement what was going on at school. He went to school. He started his day at 7 versus other kids at 8 something. It just became almost a contest of how much could we do, how much could Matthew take, and again, he responded. So we remained encouraged and went on from one program to the next. But the experience in helping other families is certainly helping understand kind of everything from first steps to special needs preschool to getting an IEP and advocacy and how to approach things in order to maximize on opportunities for your child, and then engaging, getting involved perhaps in the Medicaid waiver, like Kentucky, of course, the Michelle P. is so very popular, or where there may be medical involvement, the home and community based waiver. So understanding the Medicaid waivers, because parents that have assets and or income are not blocked from their child being eligible to pursue those things. And so that's an opportunity early on to get engaged from a benefit standpoint.
Well, Gordon, again, I thank you very much for your time today.
Well, thank you.
Yes. Have a wonderful day.
Alrighty.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining. To see upcoming guests, check us out at StudioZ.space.